guys, Mindy here. I'm sorry I'm a couple minutes late. I have been working in my garden today. So there's my pickup truck and it was just full of over a ton of soil and I've been unloading it, and that's why I'm a couple of minutes late, because I was not paying attention to the clock. I was unloading soil. I've done 2 of these this morning and woo, I am getting my workout in today. Well, anyways, today's topic, and by the way, I could not figure out how to do the scheduled video. I'm sorry, this is probably a little different than usual, but the scheduled video and me, we're not getting along on my phone, and I wanted to get on here real quick since I was outside and already a couple minutes late. So we're just doing this off the cuff. Our topic today is the split personalities of the ego. And I think a lot of you in this group probably get that, but I really hate it. I hate it when people, experts, really just oversimplify everything and they call it one thing, the shadow, or just the ego, or just the small self. You know, there's a lot of ways that we can talk about the human side of who we are versus the spiritual side of who we are. And when you oversimplify it, I think it turns a lot of people away, because some people just don't resonate with ego. Like for me, for a long time, like, yeah, I got it that I had an ego. Everybody has an ego. And yet, for some reason, I was like, well, I got my ego in check, so I'm good, right? Like, it was the ego making excuses for the ego. I mean, how ridiculous is that? But a lot of people feel like they're not egotistical, so why the hell would they need to worry about their ego? We all have egos, right? We all have them, and yet some of us relate to them. We all relate to our egos in a little different way. So what if we then turn to the shadow? Well, yeah, the shadow is also a big part of this human side of us. And we have to be able to really understand the shadow and understand the ego in order to understand ourselves. But when we only look at the shadow, it feels kind of like a little negative, right? It feels a little bit like, well, damn, I don't want to just work on my shadow all the time. I know it's there, but I don't want to just be in the dark and have to face all my negative stuff all the time. So again, we can kind of disassociate with it if we focus on only that aspect of our human self. Let me see if I can just list off a bunch. There's the separate self, the small self, there's the human self. I mean, there's so many different ways that we can look at the human side of us, the ever-changing part of us. And I think it is valid to be able to look at all those different aspects and not to ignore or push away any of them just because we don't want to do that. If we don't want to look at our shadow, well, shit, you probably should be looking at your shadow, right? Well, if you are resisting looking at your ego, resisting how you approach the world, then you probably should be working with your ego. And we want to be able to see all these different versions of who we are because it empowers us. When we refuse to look at something, we give it power. Right? Does that make sense to all of you? I think it probably does. But when we refuse to look at something in our lives, it really does give it power. Sorry, I'm kind of shaky because my arms have been moving 2 tons of soil. I don't have anything to put my phone on right now. I'm going to try and do my best to hold it steady. All right, now, ego can say, I've got this. I can move 2 tons of soil. Or it can say, this is impossible. I can't move 2 tons of soil by myself. Why isn't my husband out here helping me? But you can really use your ego as a freaking part of your superpower, right? You have so many skills. You have so many parts of your personality. That's another part of the human self, the personality and our stories. We can use these to our benefit instead of feeling like they're weighing us down. Your spirit wants you to be free. It wants you to know how limitless you are, how amazing you are, that you can freaking move 2 tons of soil on your own. I know my cousins in Nebraska who live up in the sandhills in the country are probably like, 2 tons of soil on her own, no big deal. We do that all the time. But for me, like, that's a pretty big deal. I'm just starting this country life and I love it. and my body is strong and my ego is strong, and it says, yes, you can do that. Yes, you did build these planter beds with your husband. You did it with your own hands. You can do so much, whether it's physical labor, building your own stuff, growing your own plants, kicking ass at work, you know, being the best mother or father or friend or daughter or son, anything. You can be anything, and you can be amazing. And it's like, just get over the fact that, you know, your ego or the things that you didn't quite do well enough at some point, or you didn't get the love that you needed at some point, or you didn't get somebody recognizing you at work the way you wanted them to. Let it go, right? Like, the ego wants you to hold on to that because it says, or the shadow says, oh, you're not valuable because in, you know, 9th grade, you got kicked off of the basketball team or whatever. Don't let the things that you didn't succeed at hold you back from anything. Use those as fuel to make yourself even better. You learned something from that experience of getting kicked off the soccer basketball team. You learned something from, you know, your friends who ditched you that one time, or a whole lot of times. You have learned something from getting through the work that you do, working with the people that you do. You are freaking amazing. And don't let yourself be limited by this human side of who you are. The spirit side of who you are wants so freaking much for you. She wants you to know how amazing you are, right? And she wants you to live the freaking best life that you can, to enjoy it all, to have spiritual connection with who you really are, which helps you see past the separateness, past the division of our world, past the politics, and it helps you to be able to see the unity, the connection. That's why we're here, is to see how deeply connected we are. And if you haven't figured it out already, this virus, freaking, it's telling us how deeply connected we are. I mean, one virus has changed the entire scape of the world. Like, that's amazing. There's bad stuff that's come along with this virus, of course, as well, but we are so deeply interconnected. And if we can really tap into that through the use of our separate human ego shadow selves, fuck yeah, do it. I'm sorry, I'm on fire today just because I got so much adrenaline running through me from moving all this soil. Anyways, guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this today. Don't limit yourself by believing that there's only one part of you that you can work on. You can work on so many different aspects, and they're all valid, right? Like, do it all. Dabble into the things that feel good, and then something that really is connecting with you, well, shoot, go in there and get into it, right? I have dealt so much with my emotions because for me, growing up, I just didn't really know how to feel my emotions. That worked super well for me. But that's not going to work for every single human being on this planet, because some people do get their emotions. Other people really need to work onto that ego part of who you are. Other people have to dive into the shadow. I've done a lot of shadow work as well. So really recognize that there are limitations to you right now, but those limitations don't always have to be there. Those limitations can become your superpowers, all right? Guys, love you so much. Glad you were here. Sorry I was late. Hope you can forgive me. And say hello to my new garden. I'm so excited to get it planted. Yay. All right, guys, love you so much. We'll talk to you on Tuesday. Bye. Bye, Mandy. Thanks for watching.